Welcome back to another episode of Solving Your Thrift Flip Dilemmas. A while ago, I asked you guys to send me items of clothing that you have that you would like to change or alter so that you can keep them, but you're not quite sure what to do with them. So today we're going to take a look at another batch of submissions from you guys. And if you would like to submit your thrift flip dilemmas for a potential future episode, once again, the link for the Google form will be down in the description. So the first one I have for us to take a look at is this black and red floral rose pattern dress, very rich saturated colors. So let's take a look at what our submitter said about the item. They said, I don't wear short skirts or dresses and the neckline is too deep. It's a mock wrap dress, so it doesn't have adjustability of a wrap dress, but it still slips out of place like one. Yeah, that's no good. They do like the fabric and the fit of the sleeves. When you do submit your thrift flip dilemmas, I do also want to know if you have a direction you're thinking of going in. That way I can try to tailor my answers to that and lean into your inclinations a little bit. So this person says they're thinking about making it a top, but I don't want the V-neck to be that deep, and they are very experienced and comfortable with sewing. So if you are thinking of turning this into a top, I'd say go for it, especially if you don't wear skirts and dresses. No point in having a skirt or a dress, right? I guess the conundrum is the wrap front part of it. I would start by just taking away the bottom length. Bring it up to just a little bit longer than you want the top to sit, maybe another inch or two below that. Start by cropping it, just get the fabric that you don't need out of there. And now to solve the V-neck problem, I am wondering, even though it's a mock wrap, sometimes there is still an overlap in the fabric. It's just stitched in place. So if there is still overlapping fabric that you can pick apart, you can then take those two folds of fabric and fold them back in on themselves to just make a center front seam. I did that several years ago when I was remaking my wedding dress, because that also had a mock wrap on the bodice, and I didn't care for it. So I took apart the overlapping pieces of fabric and then just folded them in on themselves. I hope that that's making sense. Potentially when you're playing with that might be able to bring the V-neck up a little bit higher. If it doesn't, what you can do is take some of the fabric that you're cutting away from the bottom and just make a little modesty insert. I know that that's probably not the cutest way to fix it, but it is the simplest way. You could also look for a scrap of just black lace fabric and just create a little lace insert. That might look a little bit better actually, just to have something that doesn't stick out too much but isn't exactly matchy-matchy. Then it'll just look like the top of a camisole poking out from the V-neck. Yeah, I can't quite tell if the fabric panels do come away from each other, but I'm willing to bet that there's some overlap in the fabric. If it's really just all an illusion and there's no overlap in the fabric and you can't separate those pieces to bring them in together, after you crop it to your desired length, I would just tack down that opening so that it can't flap open, and then you have a bit of a wrap top. Yeah, again, it's really hard to tell when I can't see the item in front of me, so I apologize if I'm giving you options that don't work for your garment. I'm trying to make a best guess based on what I can see. What I personally would do though, because I think this is such a fun, bold pattern and color, is I would crop it to a shirt, fix the wrap front by making it just a V-neck with a center seam, but then I would actually remove the sleeves, because I could see this being styled so many different ways as a tank top. I'm imagining it layered over just a white button down without bringing up the V-neck at all, because then it doesn't matter. You're gonna just button up the button down. And then it's kind of almost more like a vest over top of that, but I think that would be really fun to have this bright pop of red and black against a crisp white shirt. I think that would look so good. But that's just what I personally would do with this. Otherwise, I would say, yeah, go for it with cropping it into a shirt. Next up, we have a t-shirt. Let's see. Okay, it's basically the same front and back. Is it tan? I can't quite tell what the color is from this picture. It looks like a tan t-shirt with this floral print on it. Our submitter says they don't love the neckline and the shirt's a bit oversized and I wish it were more cropped. but they do like the flowers on the bottom. It sounds like you don't like most things about this shirt. I am wondering why it's still around. It is okay to part with things that are not working for you. But let's see if we can address this. Do you have any ideas for what direction you'd like to take the item? They said no, and also added the caveat that even though they do a bunch of sewing, it's mostly by hand and they don't have a machine. So that is something to keep in mind. So that does make things more complicated. And again, if I were this person, I might just get rid of it. Or if the flowers are the only thing I like, maybe just crop off the very, very bottom of this and make a little bandeau top. Or like a head wrap or something, turn it into a tote bag. That'd be a cute tote bag with the flowers, actually. A t-shirt tote bag is super easy to make. Not the sturdiest because of the stretchy knit material. So somehow during filming this, I completely blanked on all of the t-shirt alteration possibilities available just from cutting it. There are so many ways you could do a no-sew alteration to this shirt just with scissors. For example, I might crop it slightly from the bottom, then cut away the sleeves and the neckband, bringing both lower down into the shirt. I might also open the seam at the tops of the shoulders and attach some ribbon to make cute adjustable ties. But let's get back to me taking a way too literal approach to attempting to fix the things this person doesn't like about the shirt. Okay, anyway, let's see if we can address this. If you don't like the neckline and you also want it shorter, a really complicated way you could do this, which I'm not really recommending because of not having a sewing machine, not that you couldn't still do it, is I would potentially crop from the top, cut off the sleeves, bring the shape of the armholes and the neckline lower down into that print, and then reattach the sleeves, but you're gonna have to make a whole new neckband if you do that. Again, doable, but you're gonna have limited fabric to work with. Yeah, with the fabric that you cut away from the top, you could have enough to make a new neckband to attach, but that would be a very complicated way to do that. The simpler way is going to lose some of the florals at the bottom, unfortunately. So I'm not sure if you want a V-neck or a scoop neck. I'm gonna go with a scoop neck just for the simplicity of my illustration. Go ahead and cut out that neckline a little bit bigger, crop off whatever amount you want gone from the bottom, whatever crop adjustment feels good to you, and then with that fabric that you take off the bottom, make a new neckband from that. And it might be actually kind of nice to have a bit of that floral print brought up into the new neckband that you make. That's gonna be hard to do without a machine though. Again, doable. But also, if that just sounds like a lot when you're working with sewing by hand, if it's a knit fabric, a lot of times it will just roll in on itself and be fine. Maybe, not all the time. I think the thing that I'm getting really hung up on for this one is that it sounds like this person really doesn't like the item that much to begin with, and they're limited to hand sewing. I think I would still recommend just go ahead and crop it. If you're able to clean up that bottom hem by hand, do it, obviously. And then if you feel up to it, cut away that original neckline and make a new collar band from the cutaway fabric. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I'm just trying to imagine doing that all by hand, and that sounds tedious. But if the shirt means that much to you, might as well try. Next up is this green and white raglan tee. This person says they got this shirt recently from a friend and immediately got bleach stains on the front. Since the green is dark, the stains are very noticeable. They do like the color of the shirt and the white sleeves and the lettering. They thought about cropping the stains away, but think it would be too short. I agree. And now they're thinking about putting patches over it, but that might be awkward. Yeah, that would be kind of random placement based on where the bleach stains are. So if your number one goal is just to hide the stains, we could try fabric paint. It might be hard to get an exact match, so maybe you could just paint like a little matcha cup below the lettering. Maybe that's a bit much, but that would be a way to cover it up, is just paint on like a little hand-drawn matcha cup. You could also embroider over it, but again, any patchwork or covering up, it is gonna be in a weird place. And I know this person said they really like the color of the shirt, and I agree, but I think our best bet is to lean into the bleach stain. I think we should try reverse tie-dye with bleach. Now that doesn't have to take over all of the green. You can definitely do a bit more sparse of a tie-dye effect. You don't have to do like a ton of bleaching out, but I think that might be the best way to disguise the stain, by blending it in rather than just trying to cover it. So I would focus on just bunching up the main body of the shirt, try to keep the sleeves out of it, and do a little bit of reverse tie-dye with bleach. See if you can find out like what type of bleach is on there too, and try to get the same type of bleach, because then we want the same shade of color removed. That stain is such a shame, but I do think reverse tie-dye on this shirt could look really cool. It's already a super cute shirt, so then you would just be adding a cool effect over top of it. And this last one I almost didn't include, but I kind of felt like I need to, because I need to know, am I being pranked? One of y'all submitted, I kid you not, a plain bubblegum pink t-shirt, and it's just like the stock image from Amazon. Guys, this is a blank slate. This is a blank canvas. You don't need my input. I know y'all are smart enough to figure this out by yourselves. Okay, anyway, this person says, the shirt is too plain and I don't like this shade of pink on me. My brothers and sisters in Christ, you are not required to keep an item of clothing that you don't like. You can get rid of it. If it didn't work out, nothing wrong with letting it go. We love to repurpose and try to keep things if we can, but you don't have to. You as an individual cannot shoulder the burden of the pollution from fashion worldwide, okay? There's nothing that they do like and want to keep. So again, why are we keeping it? Ideas that they thought about. They thought about shearing the top, but that would not solve the color issue, and they know the basics of using a sewing machine. Okay, so yeah, my first recommendation is still to like maybe just let it go. It didn't work out, and that's fine. We all occasionally purchase things that don't work out. But you know what? Let's try to solve this for you just in case. Just in case you decide to keep it. If you hate the color, you're probably going to want to dye it. And if this is a stock image just from Amazon, I'm going to assume that it's a polyester shirt. So I'm going to assume that you will need clothing dye meant for synthetic fibers. Which after my last thrift flips video, I realized like the moment I hit upload that I had used the wrong dye in one of my projects. And of course, then I get like 12 comments that are like, you used the wrong dye. And I'm like, yep. So make sure you check the bottle of dye that you are buying, because all purpose is not the same as for synthetics, even though the word all implies that it should be. Anyway, that's a semantics issue for another day. Check your dye bottles, get some synthetic dye, and I don't really know what color you do like, so I might be inclined to go with a purple or a blue to overlay that pink to make it more purpley. You could go darker with a red to make it more of a reddish pink. It really depends. I don't know, what direction do you want to take it? I'm just gonna go with purple for this example because I like purple. If it's too plain, we can always crop it a smidge. You don't have to. I might add a lettuce leaf hem just for a little bit of visual interest, maybe add it to the sleeves as well. And then it's still a plain shirt, but we have a better color. We have a little bit of detail just to add something to it. But if you want to take it a step further, you can always paint on it, embroider on it, add a patch, do a cutout. I think a little cutout heart in the center would be so cute, but also an iron-on patch would be so easy. Oh my gosh, so easy. That will literally take you less than a minute to apply. And then you have a less boring, better color shirt. I still think this was a prank. I don't know, guys. There are endless things we could talk about that you could do with a plain t-shirt, but I don't want to be here all day talking about it, so that's just what I might do. Again, this is a blank canvas, so there's very little you could not do. All right, I feel like this one was a lot shorter than the last one, but also I just feel like I had less ideas for these. I felt like these were a little bit more cut and dry than the last ones where there were multiple directions we could take it. So again, please do submit your thrift flip dilemmas at the Google form linked down below. These are really fun to look at and brainstorm together. If you made it to the end of this video, leave a rose emoji down in the comments. Thank you as always for watching, and if you enjoyed hanging out today, make sure that you subscribe so that we can hang out again next time. And I will see ya when I see ya. Bye.
Sick of being